Hello, teenagers. This is the last Sunday of our 4-week recess period. And it's kind of exciting for me because next week we are starting a new series on the book of Jonah, which it's a really, really cool book. It's not just about Jonah and a fish, but I'm not going to tell you more now. Anyways, in these devotions that we've been doing on the Psalms, I have reflected on how the Psalms, first of all, remind us that we can trust in God always. Secondly, that God protects us. He just wants to put his arms around us and protect us from all bad things, any bad things in this world. And then last week we looked and saw that his love for us is completely unconditional and unfailing. And today I want to show you how the Psalms give us permission to feel anything and everything. You know, we live in a society that has told us, you know, that we actually shouldn't really be too feelingish, too emotional. If you're a little bit sad on a day, you get labeled emo, or if you're too happy, then you know, people also have something to say about it. We've kind of been told that we need to have control over our emotions and self-control. Don't show people your real feelings. When I was growing up, it was common for people to say boys shouldn't cry. I don't know if they say that anymore. Boys should cry because boys just have the same feelings as girls. So we have really been primed and prepped to kind of go through life experiencing all the difficulties and all the challenges and all the good stuff and all the joyful stuff, but we're supposed to just remain on this even keel all the time, which is actually like a little ridiculous, really, you know, because we're human beings. God created us with all these emotions. He created us with flesh and bones, with nerves and nerve endings and a brain and all this amazing stuff. But he also included in our makeup, he included feelings and emotions. And feelings and emotions are actually really, really important. They're like signs to tell us, you know, how we're coping in the world and how things are going. And they can be warning signs when, you know, we need help, or they can be, you know, very important markers in our lives. And so when people say to you, no, you laugh too loudly, you mustn't have so much fun. Oh, it's really wrong. It goes against what God has created us to do, and that is to live a full life with all of our emotions. So when we look at the Psalms and we see this, we see how the psalmist is quite happy to come to God with all of his stuff. You know, last week or the week before, I can't remember, we shared about how David went to God with his post-sin trauma after he'd had that terrible relationship, started the relationship with Bathsheba, who would become his wife, and then she fell pregnant and he had her husband murdered, and he came to God with all this deep, heavy emotion. And today I'll share with you a psalm in which the psalmist brings just utter joy to the table. And so the book of Psalms is filled with all of this stuff. And you know, guys, one of the reasons people say to you, don't get so overexcited, or stop crying now, and I've probably been at fault of with this too, is that it makes people feel uncomfortable. Sometimes we don't know how to deal with people's stuff, heaviness. You know, we know how to deal with the average everyday stuff, but when it comes to the extremes, we struggle and it makes us feel uncomfortable. So we tell them they should stop having those feelings. But actually what we should be doing is like God, because none of this makes God uncomfortable. We should be learning how to respond and react to these very real feelings that everybody is allowed to feel. So when we read through Psalm 139 today, and I'm going to ask Kayla to share it with us, I want you to listen to the psalm carefully, and I want you to try and identify different feelings and emotions and and ways the psalmist comes to God. You know, does he come in joy? Does he come in heartache? Does he come with anger? And remember that none of it's wrong. None of it's wrong. He's allowed to bring it all to God, and so are you. You know, the psalmist, you'll see in just this one psalm, he has this range of emotions. And so today we might say, oh, this guy's bipolar, you know, and then mock him and make a joke. But no, this guy's just being human, and he's sharing, he's being vulnerable, and he's saying to God, yo, this is where I'm at. And, you know, some parts of it I'm okay with, and some parts of it I'm not okay with. And, you know, guys, even emotions like anger, which we tend to think we should keep under control. Yeah, you know, we're not allowed to hurt people. We're not allowed to defame. We're not allowed to smash things, and we shouldn't need to. But we are allowed to be angry. Jesus got angry, and Fred Rogers, that's American children's show host, he said, you are allowed to be mad, but what can we do with our mad? A lion roars. What can we do with our mad? Jesus got angry with social injustices. Use your mad, use your angry for good things, okay? Angry is not a no-no. Angry is a yes, yes. You can be angry. There are bad things in the world. So, yeah, in closing, I just want to say that we have had a really tough few weeks in South Africa. The COVID numbers just kind of went crazy. We went into lockdown, level 4, and then we had this period of socio-political unrest, which is rooted in a number of different things in this country. It's a complex situation, and we saw suffering and horrible violence and stuff all over social media, on TV, heard it on the radio. It was all over the place. None of us really could be protected from it. And so it is actually very normal if you felt a bit down, if you felt uncomfortable with what you saw, if you felt distress. Maybe you saw some of the real ugliness where people were getting shot and hurt, and the fighting, and that really, really hurt you and caused you a little bit of trauma. You're allowed to have all of that, and you're allowed to take it to God. God is not only there for us in good times. God is the God of our good times and our bad times. In Psalm 23, the psalmist says to God, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me and they protect me. So in that very, very dark time, how dark must the valley of the shadow of death be? The psalmist knew that he could go to God with it, and so can you. God wants to hear when you aced that test, or when you made the first team. He wants to hear when your dog died and it broke your heart. He wants you to tell him about your new friend and how much fun you're having together. But he also wants you to tell him when you're really sad because you were excluded from something that your group of friends were doing that day. He is there in the light and the dark. He is there in the lows and the highs. And he is there and the joys and the sorrows, and he just wants you so badly to bring it all to him. That author that I spoke about in the very first devotion I did with you says this about the Psalms. The Psalms are somehow able to cover the wide stretch of human emotions, from deepest inner heartache to airborne joy. God just wants you to come to him with all of that stuff. So, in closing, we will share Psalm 139. Guys, I love you lots. Have a good week, and I will see you next week as we start our Jonah series. For those of you going back to school, I am praying that it all goes well. I'm not sure. We'll hear on Sunday night what's happening with the lockdown situation, but maybe let me know where you're all at. Because some of you aren't even on holiday yet. And today I saw one of our matriculants posted her prelim schedule on her WhatsApp status. So that's coming up too. So you remain in my prayers and in my thoughts. See you soon. Bye.
Psalm 139. O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. You hem me in, behind and before. You have laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me, your right hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God! How vast is the sum of them! Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I wake, I am still with you. If only you would slay the wicked, O God, away from me, you bloodthirsty men. They speak of you with evil intent. Your adversaries misuse your name. Do I not hate those who hate you, O Lord, and those who abhor those who rise up against you? And I have nothing but hatred for them. I count them my enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.